It is genuinely painful to watch people hemorrhage $600 a month on a brand new Mustang EcoBoost and convince themselves that a turbocharged four-cylinder is a performance decision. While everyone is bleeding money on clapped-out Camaros and overpriced Challengers with engines that grenade at 90,000 miles, they are completely missing these 7 bulletproof Ford Mustang engines you should buy before they disappear forever. These are power plants that were overbuilt, understressed, and engineered to keep running long after the car around them falls apart. One engine on this list is so absurdly underpriced that most people will refuse to believe the numbers. Stick around for the buyer's survival guide at the end so you never get burned. The philosophy of the Ford Mustang V8. Ford has been building V8 engines for the Mustang since 1964. That's over 60 years of continuous V8 development in a single platform. Chevrolet axed the Camaro for 8 years. Dodge killed the Challenger for a full generation. The Mustang's V8 program is the longest, most obsessively iterated engine lineage in American automotive history. And here's the part the market has not processed yet. The naturally aspirated V8 is being strangled to death. Emissions regulations are choking it. The electric vehicle mandate is burying it. Ford already gutted the Mustang's V6 option and replaced it with a turbocharged four-cylinder. The next generation Mustang is widely expected to go hybrid or fully electric. And the moment something gets discontinued, supply becomes fixed. When supply is fixed and demand catches up, prices explode in only one direction. The collector market has already figured this out with the Shelby models. The rest of the lineup has not caught up yet. That is your window. Engine number 7, the unseen workhorse. Ford, 4.6-liter 2-valve SOHC 1996 to 2004 Mustang GT. Same engine architecture that powered Crown Victoria Police Interceptors and NYC taxicabs to 300,000, 400,000, and in documented cases over 500,000 miles before the body rotted off the frame. The Mustang GT application uses the same block, same heads, same fundamental design. It never got credit because enthusiasts judged it on horsepower alone. The 215 to 260 horsepower output made the entire generation invisible. That invisibility has kept prices crushed to the floor for 2 decades, while every turbocharged alternative from the same era has already self-destructed. The 1999 and later models received performance-improved cylinder heads that bumped output to 260 horsepower. Those are the ones you want. No timing chain tension or grenading, no cam phaser failures, no direct injection carbon buildup choking the valves. Simple, naturally aspirated, single overhead cam, and genuinely stout. The status math. Clean 1999 to 2004 Mustang GTs trade between $4,000 and $8,000. A rear-wheel drive V8 coupe with fleet-proven durability for the price of a single down payment on a new car that will crater in value the second you drive it off the lot. But reliability alone is not the whole story. The next engine trades some of that invisibility for something noticeably sharper. Engine number 6, the comeback kid. Ford 4.6-liter 3-valve SOHC 2005 to 2010 Mustang GTS 197. The engine that dragged the Mustang back from irrelevance. The retro-styled S197 electrified the market when it launched. But the moment the 2011 Coyote arrived with 100 more horsepower, the 3-valve became the car everyone dumped. That mass exodus cratered residual values, and they have never recovered. Buyers skip the 3-valve because the Coyote exists. That skip is a gift to the buyer who does the math instead of chasing spec sheets. 3 valves per cylinder combined with variable cam timing produce 300 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque from a naturally aspirated 4.6 liters. The broader, more usable torque curve makes it a genuinely rewarding car to drive everywhere, from traffic to the highway to full throttle. Owners report 250,000 plus miles with nothing more than oil changes and basic upkeep. One forum member documented 140,000 miles of daily driving with only an idler pulley and spark plugs replaced. The S197 chassis is simple enough that any independent shop can service it, and parts share massive overlap with the Crown Victoria and F-150 platforms. Early 2005 to 2007 models had the infamous two-piece spark plug design that could snap during removal at high mileage. Ford revised this for 2008 and later. Cam phasers can develop a tick at high mileage. Neither issue kills the engine. Both have cheap, proven fixes. The status math. Clean S197 GTs trade between $8,000 and $14,000. 300 horsepower, retro styling that still turns heads, and a naturally aspirated V8 proven over 2 decades of real-world punishment. Meanwhile, a same-year BMW 335i with its turbocharged 6 is already bleeding its owner dry with blown turbos and a high-pressure fuel pump that costs more than this entire car. The next engine operates in a completely different world. It does not come from the modern era. It comes from the era that started everything. Engine number 5, the engine that built an empire. Ford 302 Windsor 5-liter HO pushrod V8 1987 to 1993 Fox body Mustang GT/LX. The engine that needs no introduction. The 302 high output is a pushrod overhead valve V8 with a cast iron block that has survived more abuse than any small block in American history. When Ford added E7-cylinder heads and sequential multiport fuel injection for 1987, it became an instant legend. 225 horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque in a car weighing under 3,200 pounds. The power-to-weight ratio turned the Fox body into the car that dominated drag strips, ruled stoplight culture, and defined weekend warrior ownership for an entire generation. The real story is mechanical brutality. No overhead cams to rattle, no variable valve timing to fail, no electronics requiring a specialist with a $5,000 scan tool. A teenager with a socket set can tear this engine apart in a driveway. The aftermarket support is the largest of any Ford engine ever produced. You can build a 302 into anything from a daily cruiser to an 800 horsepower drag weapon without ever running out of parts. The 302 ran in Ford vehicles from 1968 through 1995. 27 years of continuous production across Mustangs, F-150S, Broncos, and dozens of other platforms. Parts availability is essentially infinite. The status math. Driver quality Fox body GTs trade between $8,000 and $16,000. Pristine examples have already blown past $25,000 and are climbing hard. The window to own this one at a reasonable price is slamming shut faster than most people realize. But the next engine trades that old-school simplicity for something genuinely sophisticated. Engine number 4, the one that changed everything. Ford 5.0-liter Coyote V8 Generation 1, 2011 to 2014 Mustang GT, a clean sheet aluminum block dual overhead cam 32-valve V8 producing 412 horsepower that screamed to 7,000 revolutions per minute and ran on regular 87-octane fuel. This was Ford detonating a bomb in GM and Chrysler's boardrooms. The 5.0 badge returned after a 16-year absence, and it came back swinging for throats. The Gen 1 Coyote uses sequential multiport fuel injection only. No gasoline direct injection gunking up the intake valves. No turbochargers waiting to blow. No dual injection complexity bleeding your wallet at the dealer. This is the simplest, cleanest version of the Coyote architecture, and that simplicity translates directly into long-term survival. Forged steel crankshaft, aluminum block with deep-skirted main caps, variable cam timing on all 4 camshafts. Owners routinely report 200,000 miles with nothing beyond scheduled maintenance. Documented examples exceeding 300,000 miles exist. The limiting factor on these cars is almost always the transmission or the driver, never the engine. It simply refuses to stop. The manual uses the Getrag MT82, which is noticeably less refined than the engine it sits behind. It works and holds up, but it is clunky. The 6R80 automatic is a proven unit with no significant reliability concerns. The status math. 2011 to 2014 Mustang GTs trade between $18,000 and $26,000. A 412 horsepower, naturally aspirated rear-wheel drive V8 with Toyota-grade engine longevity at a price that makes absolutely no rational sense, while people are paying $35,000 for turbocharged crossovers with engines that will be scrap metal at 120,000 miles. Now, we have reached the point in this list where reliability alone stops being the story. The next engine is about something far more aggressive. Engine number 3, the American Supra. Ford 4.6-liter D OHC supercharged V8 Terminator, 2003 to 2004 SVT Cobra. In 1999, Ford released an SVT Cobra that fell catastrophically short on its horsepower promise. Ford was forced to recall all 5,300 cars. The humiliation was public, brutal, and complete. The SVT team spent 4 years engineering a response that would incinerate that failure from the record books. What they built was the Terminator. Cast iron block borrowed from the SVT Lightning Truck program because the engineers knew this engine was going to war. Eaton M112, supercharger. Forged connecting rods, forged pistons, forged crankshaft. Tremec T56 6-speed manual built to absorb punishment. Factory rated at 390 horsepower, real-world dyno testing consistently showed output closer to 420 or more. Ford deliberately sandbagged the numbers to avoid directly embarrassing the Corvette. The iron block and forged internals were so absurdly overbuilt that owners discovered the stock bottom end could absorb 700, 800, and in extreme cases over 1,000 horsepower at the wheels with nothing more than a smaller pulley, intake, headers, and a tune. The Terminator became the American Supra, a factory-built platform with so much headroom that the aftermarket treated it like a blank check. Only approximately 19,000 were built across both model years. The 2003 had a known head-tick valve train noise that does not affect longevity. The 2004 largely resolved it. Service records matter enormously because many have been modified. A stock or professionally built Terminator with documentation is a completely different animal from one tuned in a parking lot. The status math. Clean, low-mileage Terminators trade between $30,000 and $45,000. A hand-built, supercharged iron block V8 with forged internals in a car Ford only made for 2 years. Supply is permanently fixed. Demand is accelerating. These will never be cheaper than they are right now. But the next engine represents something Ford has never done before and will almost certainly never do again. Engine number 2, the exotic American. Ford 5.2-liter Voodoo flat-plane crank V8 2016 to 2020. Shelby GT350/GT350R. If there is one engine on this list that triggers the deepest reaction from people who actually know what they are hearing, this is the one. The 5.2-liter Voodoo, found exclusively in the 2016 through 2020 Shelby GT350 and GT350R. Ford took the Coyote 5.0 architecture and ripped out the crankshaft. In its place, they installed a flat plane crank, the kind found in Ferraris. The kind that allows even firing intervals, reduced rotational mass, and an engine that screams to 8,250 revolutions per minute. 526 horsepower at 7,500 revolutions per minute. A sharp, metallic, almost Italian exhaust note that cuts through traffic and becomes absolutely intoxicating at full throttle. It is one of the most visceral, naturally aspirated V8 experiences available in any production car at any price. Nothing else wearing an American badge sounds like this. Ford killed the GT350 after 2020 and has given no indication it will ever produce another flat-plane crank V8. The engineering challenges, the vibration management, the cost of production all point toward this being a one-time experiment Ford executed brilliantly and then walked away from forever. Every GT350 that gets wrecked, every one that gets exported, every one that disappears into a private collection permanently reduces the supply of a machine that will never be manufactured again. The Voodoo drinks approximately 1 quart of oil every 3,000 miles under normal driving. Manageable if you check regularly, catastrophic if you ignore it. The flat plane crank's inherent vibration creates more stress on ancillary components than a conventional V8. This is not a low-maintenance commuter. This is a high-performance weapon that rewards attentive ownership and punishes neglect without mercy. The status math. GT350s trade between $45,000 and $65,000. The most exotic, naturally aspirated V8 Ford has ever produced, killed, and never returning, at prices the collector market has not fully absorbed yet. That brings us to the final engine. And this one might be the single most shocking combination of power, engineering, and future collectability on the entire list. Engine number 1, the Apex Predator. Ford, 5.2-liter Predator, supercharged V8, 2020 to 2022. Shelby GT500, the most powerful production engine Ford Motor Company has ever manufactured. That sentence covers over 120 years of engineering history. Every truck, every supercar, every racing program. The Predator sits at the absolute top, a 5.2-liter dual overhead cam, supercharged V8 producing 760 horsepower and 625 pound-feet of torque. High-strength aluminum block with plasma-sprayed cylinder liners, forged aluminum pistons coated in graphite anti-friction material, forged steel crankshaft, forged steel connecting rods, Eaton T VSR 2650 supercharger. Every single engine is hand-built by one technician who signs the supercharger with their name. That is not a marketing gimmick. That is an accountability standard borrowed from aerospace manufacturing. Ford built the S550G T500 for only 3 model years, paired exclusively with a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, discontinued when the platform ended. The S650 Mustang launched without a GT500. The 2020 to 2022 GT500 represents a permanently closed chapter. Ford already sells the Bear Predator as a crate engine for approximately $26,000. When the manufacturer prices the naked engine at $26,000, they are telling you exactly how much it costs to build and that it will never be cheaper to replace. The status math. Complete GT500S trade between $70,000 and $100,000. 760 hand-built horsepower in a car Ford produced for 3 years and then killed. The price of the crate engine alone tells you the floor. The market has not caught up to reality. This is the definition of a disappearing opportunity. Buyer's Survival Guide. Demand full maintenance history before you test drive anything. Records transform a risky gamble into a known quantity. A Ford V8 with documented service is a completely different machine from the same car with mystery miles. Mustangs get modified. That is the culture. But if the seller cannot tell you who did the work, what parts were used, and whether a professional tune was performed, walk away. A properly modified car with receipts is often a better buy than a stock car with no history. A car with bolt-ons and no tune is a ticking time bomb. Factor the transmission into your decision as much as the engine. The 6-speed automatics and Tremec manuals are battle-tested. The MT82 and early 10-speeds have earned their reputation for gear hunting and clunky shifts. The transmission you choose determines whether the ownership experience matches the engine's potential or destroys it. On any purchase over $5,000, take the car to an independent shop before money changes hands. A $150 inspection on a $15,000 car is the cheapest insurance you will ever buy. The best examples come from enthusiasts who garage their cars, keep every receipt, and treat the Mustang as a weapon rather than an appliance. The 4.62 valve, the invisible workhorse, the 4.63 valve, the comeback kid, the 302 Windsor, the Empire Builder, the Gen 1 Coyote, the Game Changer, the Terminator, the American Supra, the Voodoo, the Exotic American, and the Predator. 760 hand-built horsepower. 7 Mustang engines built with a philosophy the electrified future has rendered extinct. Which one goes in your garage? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next one.